Happy Friday, everyone.
Yay.
Welcome to the other show. Tonight, I'm joined by Red, Joe's Dueling,
Howdy.
and Dade.
What's up?
What's going on, everyone? How's your week been?
Interesting.
Uneventful.
It's been coming along, battling a little stomach bug, but trucking along.
I've been feeling like crap all day. I just been like laying down. It's insane.
It's that time of year where everything starts to catch up to you. Weather starts changing, time changes. Everything's a bit of a mess.
I'm just glad my allergies are starting to get under control.
Mine were. I had a few days where it was in the 30s and 40s, and I was like, oh, that's good. Normality, and then back up into the 70s. And I'm like, oh.
Well,
Yeah,
where I live,
but-
the weather is so bipolar, it's not even funny.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a
Y'all should
mid-Atlantic
move
guy.
to Florida.
Nah, we good.
We have one weather in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you do. I was born in Georgia, so
Oh, I spent a good amount of time in Georgia.
I didn't spend a whole lot of time there. I've been there to visit, but like, I was born in Georgia. I grew up a little bit in my younger life in the UK, and then came back here, and I've lived in the Midwest for 30 years nearly.
Phew.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, I've been here since high school, and I'm nearly 50. So,
This weather in upstate New York is just like insane. It was like 65 today, and tomorrow it's gonna be like 20 something.
Florida.
Yeah, it's a mess. The ups and downs are tough. They
It
beat up
was-
the body.
it was 72 yesterday. Today it was in the 50s. So,
Yeah, I've been getting the same thing. I was shoveling fire into the old wood burning stove a couple weeks ago, and then it like
The
touched
wood-burning
80 a week and a half ago. Hey, my house is built in the 1800s.
I lived in
Yeah,
a house that was older than that once in the UK. So, I know how those houses can be.
Oh yeah. It's a Mr. Fix-It's dream.
Hey, what's up, AOA? If Aquaman make $2 billion, the DCU will live.
Yeah.
Isaac, so far the DCU has been a mess.
It might make 2
AOA.
billion lira, but I don't know about
And Flow Rider. All right, let's get into the news, guys.
Let's do it.
Well,
Oh, I
welcome
have the
to.
slides.
Oh, yeah, somebody has the slides.
There they are. Okay.
God, you can't
Wait.
find good help.
That's the way it works.
My bad.
All
Yeah, I completely
right,
forgot.
first up, we have the weekend box office forecast. We got the Hunger Games coming in at 47.1 for the weekend. Trolls band together
Man.
28 million.
Trolls
The
beating
Marvels.
Marvels.
16 million. Thanksgiving 12, and the next goal wins 4.2.
Good to see the new Eli Roth movie doing at least 12 million.
Did he do Trolls?
He did Thanksgiving.
There's some decent quality movies though coming through November and December. Tonight, I threw in a deck tonight for I get off my lawn where I'm just gonna run down the calendar of some of the releases, and there's some decent little movies coming that are surprising.
I'm glad Renee Ziegler is going to have probably a hit movie. You know, her last couple movies have been like, okay.
Who?
Renee
Rachel
Ziegler.
Ziegler.
Rachel.
Oh,
Renee
okay.
Ziegler.
Yeah.
If the movies are good, that's great.
Yeah, Thanksgiving looks really good.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah, how many other horror
Horror slash
Thanksgiving
movie.
movies are there?
Not enough.
Not many.
No.
Yeah.
There's a couple of really horrible like D level movies Thanksgiving was a
Oh, yeah.
series
Thanks, Kelly.
with a turkey.
Like-
It was horrible.
Blumhouse level.
Murder turkeys.
Oh no, this is Birdemic level, like
Oh.
Thanksgiving horror. It was a claymation turkey of all things. So
No.
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it was horrible.
It's probably on
That's
Tubi.
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it's easy to find.
It'll be interesting to see going into next week, once we get into Thanksgiving weekend, if there's a pickup at the box office. Not even in specific movies, just overall numbers in general. It's been pretty anemic the past couple of weeks.
Well, it's been bad because the strike and everything else. And now a lot of movies failed this year because they really weren't able to do all that kind of marketing and all that, like the actors going out and marketing and stuff like that. So,
Five Nights at Freddy's did pretty good.
well, I mean, there's certain movies that are doing good, but even that I heard, some of the people that are diehard F and AF people were like, they kind of changed the story a little bit, but it was okay. And
It made at least 5 times its budget already, which
no,
is
that's good.
pretty damn impressive for a movie.
Yeah, I watched.
But
I was expecting a horror movie, but I was just like,
I mean, it wasn't
what is
good.
this?
But
Yeah. It was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
it served the purpose.
but for being one of the few movies this year that actually made good, I mean, come on.
yeah, it was,
The
it was weird.
I wonder what it would have done if they hadn't released it on Peacock on the same day.
Yeah, I was. That's why I was amazed it did so well. The
You
fact
stumped
that they did
AO.
release
You
it.
stumped AOA, Dade. You
Yeah.
can't find it in links.
Okay, so my channel is in its infancy right now. It's not quite out. It's going to be a movie review channel, mostly horror because that's kind of what I'm into. So you won't find a link just yet, but it'll be there. I promise. By the next couple of times I'm with you guys, there will be a channel. I promise.
Get it?
It's fun. Trust me. Not the first couple of months. Once people start watching, it becomes fun.
Well, like I told you the other night, Brucifer, I've been around YouTube for 4 years now, and mostly on other people's shows. But it is what it is, man. You got to get your legs somehow,
Yeah. I had a trial by fire myself, so
I was just thrown onto Max's show. You know how chaotic that show is sometimes.
Well, I got thrown into. Well, first of all, I got thrown into the Phantom Menace when I first started, and that was horrible, to say the least. I only lasted a little bit there, and then I got thrown into the Poindexter Lounge. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but it was part of the whole system with Max on and his stuff, and I was with that channel for like a year and a half, and then I had a little channel with one of the guys out of there, and we lasted a year, and I've just been kind of doing my own thing for the last few months. I've had some family issues and stuff. That's why I haven't really gotten my channel up and running, but I'm
Well, if you
getting to where.
need gas, we're here.
Oh my lord, it's Brian. Hey, Brian.
It's Brian's fault.
It's all Brian's fault, all of it.
Next up, we got the Joker Year One has been announced, releasing in February across Batman issues 142 to 144. This will actually be Joker's true origin.
this time.
You know,
the other
the 3
At
Jokers
least-
didn't work out so well.
At
Okay.
least they're doing it across the 3 issue arc, not here's some big crossover event across 7 books and 40 titles.
I'm actually intrigued by this story. I'm a huge Joker fan, so
Yeah, he hasn't been around for a while in the main Batman title. Ever since Tinian left the title.
Yeah, they've been auditioning tons of new characters in Batman ever since
Yeah, the
Tinian
last-
was there, and then Tinian transitioned away. They've been
the last
throwing
Joker
everything.
thing was in that last title wide thing that they did with the nightmare scenarios.
Yeah.
I did like Joker's nightmare working in the office.
That
It's good.
and that's crazy. You would expect that from Joker. Like nothing normal would be everything normal would be his nightmare, you know.
Who's writing Batman right now? Is it
Is it
Was it-
Williamson?
Hold on. Hold on.
because I know Chip was writing, but I thought Chip was stepping away, and I just don't know.
Yeah,
whether
I think
ever
he-
did,
I
or
think
whether
he went-
Zdarsky is still writing.
I thought Chip went back to Marvel. Went to Marvel, maybe? I'm not sure. But the Gotham War has been okay.
Williamson.
Okay.
So they are transitioning.
Yeah, the Gotham War with this, it was, I don't know, it's just let's Catwoman training all the henchmen how to be professional cat burglars without hurting people.
It says Batman 142 is going to be written by Chip Zdarsky, though.
Oh, he's coming back?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. According to League of Comic Geeks.
I like Zdarsky.
Yeah.
He's still kind of one of my favorite kind of.
I was surprised when he ended his. I was surprised when they ended his Daredevil run.
Yeah.
His Daredevil one was great. But then again, Daredevil's it's that one forgotten book in Marvel where it's like nobody really buys it, but it's always good. People are always kind of talking about it on the back end, but it's always it's always good. Since
Started with Brubaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daredevil has become. Ooh, great cover. Let me pick it up. I don't read the book, but let me pick up the cover.
It's been decent inside. I mean, I think the only shortfall they had is when he was still wearing a mask in prison, which made no sense. But
What?
Yeah.
outside of that, it's been enjoyable reading. I don't know. I like kind of a street level kind of superhero book. It just lends itself to be a little more grounded at times.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Snake
that
Eye.
Gang War event.
It started
Yeah,
already, didn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
they're doing
I haven't
like
read it.
pre stuff.
I'm playing catch up. I'm still in beginning of October reading my books.
I just hate crossover events and large events. I don't like it. Give me 3 to 5 issue story arcs. Good self-contained story arcs. Write them extremely well. I'll be extremely happy. Don't give me a checklist. Don't give me a checklist of things that I got to go through and figure out which titles I have to follow in what order I got to read it in and everything else. That's
20 titles for one story. Yeah.
That was the horror of the 90s in comic books.
Yeah.
And
massive
it's
crossover events.
It's been a little overwhelming here lately, especially in the X-Men books.
Yeah, X-Men is really overwhelming with the Fall of X.
X-Men has always been that way, though. With all the different X titles and everything tied in with the X-Men. Yeah. X-Men's always been a horror to read. Well, except for in the early days. But being a huge X-Men fan, it's always been a horror to follow storylines in the X-Men. You gotta read like 90 books to get anything through.
I was
right now, Fall of the Mutants. That's.
I was picking up all the tie-ins to Fall of X. They have nothing to do with the main story.
I know.
It's
and
like
that's the
what?
problem, and that's what bothers me. It's like maybe you get a panel or two that give you some little tidbit, but it's like really, I don't want to buy that book. If I want to follow a story, I want to follow a goddamn story. I hate the, here buy these 30 books with 70 covers, and it was fine when books were $1. When books were $1, I was like, okay, cover price is $1 in the 90s. I could dig that $1.25. But now it's like you're spending a lot of money per
$4.99 a book, and they want you to buy
at least
50 books a week. Yeah.
That's why, to be honest, I got a subscription to Marvel Unlimited.
Yep.
And I don't have to pay a crap ton to read the X-Men stuff. And I hate to say that because, again, like I said, huge X-Men fan, like to own the books, but it's just expensive, man.
I don't like reading digital. I will read digital if I have to. I did this week, Bruce.
The problem is there are way too many mutants running around.
Yeah,
we need another mutant massacre.
And the thing is, like we thought they fixed that.
Need
We
a
thought
You're a
call.
they
monster.
fixed. We thought they
I
fixed
am.
that with decimation, but
Yeah. But then
decimation
Krakoa
years
happened.
ago was supposed to fix that. And it didn't.
And then Krakoa unfixed it.
And then Krakoa just keeps them coming back to life forever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah. I lost my love of the X-Men during that whole. Once Hickman stepped away from after Power of X and stuff like that. Once they pulled Hickman back and just kind of let everybody run their own thing, I was like, no,
Well, it's like I
can't
told
handle this.
Brucifer the other night. I read the the Krakoa stuff up until I was following it up until Destiny of X, and then it was just like my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Too much.
I loved the Hellfire Gala stuff every year that they've done the Hellfire Gala, except for the Scarlet Witch stuff,
Yep,
which
I agree.
was kind of eh. But like,
The trial of Magneto, really.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Fall of X and what's coming after it limits some of this problem, because from what I'm hearing that's coming, it sounds like it's gonna get better.
Yeah, they need to clear the deck event to
Yep.
wipe things clean and be able to start from a cleaner slate.
Yeah. I've loved all the X-Men books since Hickman. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's probably too many of them, but
Too
Yeah.
many.
if you follow the online reading order guides and actually read everything in the proper order, it makes
Yeah.
sense, and it's a lot better, but it is a lot.
That's
I
a
told
ridiculous
Bruce-
thing to ask me to do for comic books.
I know
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to do that, but
I
it
told
definitely
Brucifer-
helps.
I told Brucifer the other day that I've liked the Krakoa era, most of it. It's been okay. I mean, it's not classic X-Men, not by a damn sight, but
No.
it's okay. It works as a story. It's just like he said, though,
Mhm.
you've got too many side stories that don't
Hmm.
connect to the main storyline. And I remember
dead
that
end.
happening back in the 90s a lot. Like, you'd have like the 5 or 6 core books on the storyline, and then everything else outside of it was just, well, why has this even got this storyline title on it? It's not part of it. It's
Yep.
I should not have to read a Power Pack book to understand the X-Men.
yeah,
I shouldn't have to ever touch a Power Pack book.
yeah, Fall of X, anyone?
Yeah.
Fall of Mutants.
Well,
Back in
You
the
know,
day, Power Pack,
I will say this: I have been enjoying the direction they're taking Kitty Pryde in. She
Yeah.
is badass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
They've done well because I've always been a Kitty Pryde fan, but they've done a nice story arc with her.
Well, it's not Kitty anymore, guys. It's Kate.
So like
I'm
Kitty
an
Pryde
adult.
today, sorry.
I like what they did with Psylocke, how they split Psylocke and Betsy and
Yeah.
Quanon. They split them, and
Yeah.
yeah, they've done some really good stuff in the Krakoa age. But
Alpha Flight is really good, also. Which I'm a huge Alpha Flight fan. I'm the only one, probably, but
I'm a fan of the original John Byrne run, but
Yeah.
outside
Yeah.
of that, I just
I like. Honestly, I love what they've done with. Hold on, brain freeze. Give me a second.
Hey.
Just in general, I like what they've done with certain characters. I love what they've done with Betsy herself. Like he was saying a little bit ago, making her Captain Britain. That was cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how she made the different choice than her brother did when he became Captain Britain.
Yep.
And I love that costume. That costume is great.
it
Like
is
amazingly great.
the whole. What is it? Otherworld? Is that where they are? That
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
whole storyline's been fantastic.
Yeah.
I just
I've also
Yeah.
somewhat liked what they've done with Apocalypse over the Krakoa run. He's grown quite a bit.
Yeah.
I like the stuff with Arako and the other Okara and the other mutants and everything else.
his wife
Mhm.
and those. It was great.
That storyline's been good. I like that they terraformed Mars. That's been great.
Mhm.
The mutants finally have a place. Well, they did have a place they could go.
Yeah.
Now, not so much.
Not so much. A planet full of mega level mutants. Like, wait, what?
And I have to say, in the end, and I agree with Brucifer again on this, I love what they've done with Storm.
Yeah.
She's a badass, too.
Storm has finally gotten the credit she really deserved, the respect she really deserved. The fact that they've damn near made her a goddess now.
You know, it's funny when coming on YouTube and talking to other people that actually read comics and X-Men, and it's amazing. I did not know how many people actually hate Cyclops.
Oh, yeah.
He's a tool. He's always been
He's
a
the
tool.
worst.
He is,
Wow, am I the only one that likes Cyclops?
he is the oatmeal with a pinch of salt X-Men character. He is
I loved him
bland
in
and
the
awful.
okay, so I loved him in the 90s. Okay. There was a lot of time during the 90s run, like with the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. I loved that storyline.
Mhm.
He did really
that
good
was
with
good.
that.
Yep.
I liked the sequel series to that where they went into the past, into the Victorian England. That was a good storyline. The art was horrible, but the story was good. But like, there's certain aspects of Cyclops I do respect, but ever since he offed Xavier a few years back,
Oh yeah.
and he became the Dark Phoenix Cyclops and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
he's come back and he's become militant. And when even Wolverine tells you, dude, you're going too hard,
Yeah.
you know there's a problem.
Come on.
last-
Again,
He
least
was
interesting
badass during
Summers
that run.
Brothers. Least
He was
interesting
badass.
Summers
Cyclops.
Brothers.
He was badass
The
when
last
he
good-
killed Professor X. That was a
Xavier.
he was kicking
Whoa,
ass.
what just happened?
I mean, Xavier.
The last good Cyclops was Utopia when they were all on the island,
Yeah.
and then after that he just started going off the deep end, and it got a little crazy.
Well, I'm not saying the incident where he killed Xavier was his worst, because that was actually an interesting, like, you kind of got the idea that he didn't want to do that, but he had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, Scott left his family and caused Inferno. Yeah, that's true. Back in the 80s, yeah, you know. But there's just always been
It
aspects
wasn't
of
his fault.
there's always been aspects of
Well,
Scott
okay.
that made you want to slap the hell out of him, you know? Like,
Again, it's the
She
least
was a
likable.
clone.
It's the least likable Summers.
yeah. Now, Havoc, there's an awesome Summers brother. I
Okay.
love
Really?
how
Vulcan.
they've done. I
He's
love
such
and
a
Vulcan.
simp.
Vulcan's
Vulcan.
a psycho though.
Vulcan
Vulcan
is
is a
crazy.
And then there's the Summers brother we don't talk about. Adam X.
Did they ever confirm that though, that he was a
Yes,
brother?
he's the daughter of Kate. Son of Kate. Of their mother. He's
He's-
Emperor Dekin's son.
It's just his
Oh, okay.
goddamn father's more
Oh.
interesting than he is.
Oh, Emperor
It's-
Dekin? Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah,
No, Scott's.
oh yeah.
Sir. So,
Oh, Christopher? Yeah.
All right, next up, Scott Pilgrim anime debuts with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I was gonna
When did this
start
come out?
watching it tonight. It's on now, I believe.
It's on now.
Available now. I was gonna start watching it, but then I remembered I hadn't seen Killer yet, and I'm a David Fincher nerd, so I had to watch that first. So haven't watched Scott Pilgrim yet.
This might be interesting.
It looks interesting. So maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's
Does
the
anybody know-
manga. What?
Yeah. Does anybody know where this is streaming at?
Netflix.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Netflix thing.
So it's just animated with the movie cast doing the voices again. Is that
yes, it's a beat for the movie, pretty much.
okay? Is Brie Larson in it?
I don't know. Probably.
Let's
I think
see.
they took the whole
I
cast.
can't see why not. They've got pretty much everybody else in there.
Yeah. I forgot she was in it. But I
Yeah, I want to watch. This.
I chose to watch Monarch instead of this.
What's Monarch?
That's a good choice.
It's a really good choice.
It was good.
Wanna-
It was good. I don't have Apple TV. I gotta.
Oh,
That,
so
I,
good.
I have to get it just to watch that. So.
Godzilla.
It's actually really good. It's about the agency that tries, investigates the monarchs, and that's what they call them. Titans.
Yeah, Brie Larson is in this one. She
Like
does the
kaiju,
voices.
that kind of thing. Oh, okay. She's doing the voice.
Yeah, this is tied into the whole MonsterVerse. Monarch. It's on Apple TV.
Like Godzilla monsters, or
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the kaiju. Yeah,
oh, okay.
the Godzilla
Yeah,
kaiju.
cool.
You
Yeah.
get the before and after. You get Kurt Russell and Kurt
Mhm.
Russell's son playing a younger Kurt Russell. So
Yep.
you
Really?
have
Yeah.
things that happened in the past and then the outcome of that later on. Yeah.
I was like, oh, let me just
Okay.
watch. Let me just watch some of it last night. Next thing I know, I watched both episodes. I'm like, fuck.
Are
I
you
didn't
gonna
wanna
No,
watch
go?
it till late.
they dumped money and production value into that show. It's
Mhm.
not a
Yeah.
cheap thing.
Speaking of Monarch, are you guys interested in Godzilla -1?
Yes.
Yes.
That looks really good.
That's
Yes.
I'm more interested in seeing that because I like Toho. Than anything
Yeah,
else.
my older brother has a box set with all of the Toho Godzilla movies in a huge box set.
Nice.
It's really cool. He's got
Yeah,
them
I'm
I
gonna
all.
also like the Venture
figure out
Brothers.
where to
If we're
watch.
going to talk about Monarch.
And here we go with Bruce for searching for something. This happens at least once a
Yes.
show.
Of course it does. And of course, I can't find it. I don't know if they had ever seen this.
Ooh,
Nice.
Cool.
I likes.
Somebody's gonna have to hit me up and tell me where I can watch Monarch since I don't
Apple
have Apple
TV.
TV.
Apple
I
TV.
think
I don't have
it's-
Apple TV.
Yeah, it's an exclusive Apple TV. Do you have T-Mobile?
I do.
If you have T-Mobile, I believe if you have T-Mobile, you can
Watch
get
the first
free
episode
Apple
for
TV.
free.
No, I think you can get free Apple TV if
Oh,
you have
okay.
T-Mobile.
Really?
I don't know
Yeah.
how that works, but I've heard that several times. And when I was on the other day, it said something about it, and I was too lazy to figure it out. So just,
My fiance's talked about she wants to see the Henry Cavill thing, Argyle, coming up here soon. So we're gonna end up subscribed to Apple TV before too long. So I'll just watch it then. But
yeah,
There's some really good shows on Apple TV.
it's the one
Foundation
service.
was good.
There's a lot of good stuff on it. My problem is I literally have every other possible streaming service known to man, and I
What's
pay
one
for
more?
Same here.
every
Same here. I have every streaming service known to man, just about. So
and like Apple TV was just the kind of like that last one. It's like that was like my line in the sand. It was like, nope.
Oh,
I'm
well,
not
I'm
gonna
glad
do
that
it. I'm not gonna
I'm
do
glad that Max is still free for AT&T customers. I don't know how or why, but it's still free.
yeah, one of the things that and one of the reasons why I knew we were gonna end up subscribed to Apple TV too is because my fiance has a huge amount of movies on Apple iTunes.
Oh,
And she's because she's an Apple user. I'm an Android user, so she's got
as well.
she's got a whole lot of I think we've got like 30 movies she's bought digitally through Apple. So on my
Wow.
Roku here at home, I've got her Apple account, and that's where I watch.
I don't know what this is. We don't condone it, but
Yeah, we don't sell the high seas around here, people.
I
I see. I used to buy all my movies digitally through Vudu, and I mean, I've been streaming I haven't had cable in 10 years. I've been streaming for 10 years,
I've spent half my life on a ship.
and I had all my stuff through Vudu, and Vudu has moved through like I don't know 4 different ownerships since then, but somehow my content has carried through.
Red 5, I myself have gone after that booty at times, so I get you.
Tempting.
I currently can't, because of my internet, be heard saying that I've sailed the high seas. The internet service I have, if they even catch you trying to do that, man, they'll end your service.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what a VPN's for.
Yeah, I know.
or Cody on a Fire Stick.
Who do you have for internet so I know who to avoid?
Charter Spectrum.
Okay.
Spectrum
Yes,
internet, basically.
Yeah, warnings back in the day. All right, next up.
Oh, I'm no
That's
pirate.
me.
I'm no pirate AOA. I've been legally streaming for 10 years.
DC Studios possibly looking at Jody Hill to direct Booster Gold series.
Interesting.
I'll take it.
Superbad, and what's the other movie he did?
Didn't he do all the collaborations with Danny McBride?
Yeah.
Pineapple
Yeah,
Express.
Foot Fist Way,
I'm all for this.
Eastbound and Down. Didn't he work on Eastbound
International
and
would
Down?
know.
Yes. International knows all
Let's
this
see.
stuff.
If you give me just a second, I'll tell you everything he's been he's done Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals, The Righteous Gemstones.
No man should be named Jody.
No, I love when him and McBride collaborate. Which, if he's going to do a Booster Gold series, that means we're going to get Danny McBride in that series in some
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe Walt Goggins as well.
I just wish that Danny McBride's other collaborations had been good.
Land of the Lost was okay, and Tropic Thunder.
Oh, Tropic Thunder is amazing.
I like Tropic Thunder a lot.
Tropic Thunder's hilarious, but a little less than PC.
That's me.
Yeah, it gets a pass though, I think, because
By the time
Yes.
it came out,
It's
Yeah.
well, it's also pure satire,
Yeah.
haranguing the industry in which those people are in. So,
all right. Next up,
yes.
Dune Part 2 is moving around the release calendar once again. The space epic sequel will open nationwide March 1st, 2024. That is 2
Now.
weeks earlier
Cannot
of the
wait.
original release date.
I was supposed to be seeing this movie in a week.
What? Oh yeah. Damn.
I
straight.
actually had tickets ready to go and see this with my older brother like a week from today.
yeah, I'm sorry. I love Dune. I even like the crappy original Lynch Dune.
Oh hell yeah.
Did
I
you ever
couldn't
see
watch
Did you ever see the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries in the early 2000s?
Yes, I did see
That
that.
was
as
There was a
well.
closer-
miniseries?
That was closer to the book than the
Yes.
original Lynch movie ever was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I don't think Lynch really tried to be overly close to the book.
No.
Um,
I was always curious that I always wanted to see the Jarodowski version before
the
the Lynch
Jarodowski
version.
one is insane. Mobius did all the storyboards. That's
Yeah.
all I gotta say. that's insane.
Really?
Yeah.
That all the art for the storyboards was done by Mobius. That's nuts to me. Yeah, that's good stuff. I wish that there's no way that film ever could have been made. If you watch the documentary on it, you could see that, but the passion that everybody had in it was amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't think they could have made it at that time
No, not
Within-
not at all.
at the
no.
scale they wanted to with the budget they had. It was impossible.
Yeah.
No, I think this
But
would be
I'm
a good
jazzed-
time.
I'm jazzed
Please
about
hit the
this.
like button and hit the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. I'm like 3 subs away from 500 subs, which is insane.
Woohoo!
What? When did that happen?
The last couple of days.
That's crazy.
That freaking Brie Larson clickbait video.
Yeah.
It's all,
like
it's all your thumbnails.
It's 1.3.
The algorithm loves you on that one.
Yeah. Not the other stuff, just that one.
Hey, take it where you can get it.
Hey man,
next-
with Brie Larson, you either have hate watchers or people who love her. So
Yep.
Yep, goes either way.
You know, my next thumbnail will be Kathleen Kennedy crying with Feige holding a check. I don't know. All right, the Sony movie universe and the MCU will reportedly merge in Spider-Man 4 starring Tom Holland. This is a rumor from Daniel RPK. Grain of salt.
okay, so like with Daniel RPK, something that I've noticed is about 75% of the time the guy's right,
hmm
but it's that 25% where he's wrong that hits harder than anything else. So with a grain of salt, but that being said, this would be interesting if they could shore up the Sony side of it.
Yep.
Because I don't have a problem with all. I loved the Venom movies. Don't get me
Oh.
wrong.
Ow, you hurt my ears saying things like that.
even though the second movie I think should have been rated R because Carnage. But I'm
Yeah.
kind of looking forward to Madam Web. The trailer looked good.
Second Venom movie should have been Batgirl.
No.
Eh.
Well, I haven't watched it yet, so I can't say anything.
What's that top picture?
That's
That's Julia Carpenter.
That's Madam Web. That's Julia Carpenter.
Is that Sydney Sweeney?
Yeah.
In the black
You didn't see the trailer yet?
No, I'm no.
Dude, the Madam Web trailer actually looks pretty good.
I like it.
And Ezekiel Sims is the villain. So
Allegedly.
allegedly.
Is it like Marlon or something like that?
It might be. We don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird because Ezekiel Sims in the comics never had time hopping ability. So it could be Morlun. And it seems like they're kind of leading it towards spider totems because of some of the things they say in the trailers. So could be Morlun. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Sydney
they kind of
Sweeney in
gave him
black
like,
spandex. That's all I got.
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
I'm there.
they kind of gave him
Oh.
that mechanized spider suit he has in the comics.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Now, the Kraven the Hunter movie, whereas originally we thought it was going to be horrible, the trailer looked really good and bloody, so it might be well worth watching. Who knows?
The
And Aaron Taylor-
reimagining of Craven.
Aaron Taylor Johnson's not a bad
Yeah.
actor, so
I like the actor. I don't like the concept of the reimagining, and I don't know if I necessarily needed a Craven movie, a standalone Craven movie. But
I'll take a Kraven movie.
but I do agree that the Sony
we know-
side, the Sony side of the Spider-Man, the Sony side of the Spider-Man story stuff has been kind of lacking in my opinion, though.
Yeah.
So,
It hasn't really had a direction or a flow.
well,
I
with the
I
exception
love
of
Tom Hardy, but Venom has been just atrocious to me. They've been really bad movies.
Well, like I said, the first movie not too bad. The second movie should have been rated R because, like I said the other night on another panel, Carnage lends himself to being an R-rated character.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would definitely agree with that.
And yeah. Now, Tom Hardy, incredible actor in every other thing that I've seen him in. He does
Except for Venom.
he does okay with Eddie Brock in my opinion, but still.
I don't know when Tom Hardy does things with an American accent, I don't know. I don't like him as much.
Did you ever see Lawless?
Yeah, he was good in Lawless.
He had an American accent in that, but he was really good.
Yeah.
He acts better when he's full of holes.
He's best as Bronson, but that's just another story for another day.
He was really good. I love the character he played in Lawless. That
Yeah, it was good, but that was, I don't know. I think with the Appalachian thing, it played better for him than
True.
the I'm a dude from the city. That Tom Hardy just doesn't cut it for me.
Have you seen The Craze? The one where he plays the twins. The
Yes.
brothers?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
That
he
was-
does
that was a-
fantastic as both Gray brothers.
Great.
I agree with I agree with you, Terry. Kraven looks good, but I have a feeling Marvel purists won't like it.
Oh, they won't. Not at all.
They won't.
Because they've changed. He's not a hunter so much as protecting the wild in this case.
hmm
But still, it looks bloody as hell. So for the Carnage candy, it should be really good.
You know, I
Make
understand.
villains. Make villains villains.
I understand you can't kill animals that much on screen.
Well,
He's
that's
killing
been the
crap
problem.
out of people.
That's been the problem with the Sony side of the Spider-Man thing because they've tried to do the villains, but the villains have all been tame as hell.
Mhm.
Like the Spider-Man villains have all been tame as hell, and of course Venom's not a villain, but then again he hasn't been a villain really in the comics for ages. So
Venom's not a villain.
No.
Carnage is though.
Carnage, like I said, man, that second Venom movie, man, Carnage should have been a beast, and with who played him, oh, that would have been a perfect if they'd have let him be Carnage. They didn't let him be Carnage. That was the problem.
Yeah, I just don't like when they start taking villains and making them anti-heroes, or it just seems like such a lazy trope anymore. So if you
It's
can give me a
almost
villain,
like,
give me a damn villain.
Like Krakoa?
It's almost like Kathleen Kennedy's involved.
Go ahead, do it.
Where's Dom?
Dom is out having drinks tonight.
Okay, so am I the only one here that has no problem with Kathleen Kennedy?
I don't have a problem with her.
I don't have a problem with it.
Well,
We just
okay,
mess around with Dom.
Yeah, I don't. I've had my issues, I think, in the past to a certain extent, but not those types of problems where it's like she's the bane of all evil at Lucasfilm. Yeah. I understand she's not sitting in the writer's room 24 hours a day with people telling them what to do.
Yeah. Now that right there, what Terry Floyd just said.
Yep.
They should have let Woody Harrelson bring his natural born killer's side to Carnage. That would have been a good movie. Yep. But they didn't.
I guess I'll be watching Carnage tonight.
He can play some insanely crazy characters, and he would have been perfect if they would have been true to Carnage.
But he's Woody from Cheers.
Oh my god.
Dude, Woody from Cheers is a psychopath whose actual father was a hitman for the mob. So oh, and by the way,
nobody smiles that much.
Matthew McConaughey's mother said that there's a possibility now that Matthew and Woody Harrelson could be brothers.
Hey, Woody is related to Jedi. Jedi is related to that family. Jedi Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jedi is one of the guys on Renavision.
Yeah. He has that family line.
But
so we have our 7 degrees of
separation.
Woody.
7 degrees of Woody.
7 degrees of Woody.
What I was going to say about Kathleen Kennedy, though, just really quick before we move on, is a lot of people like our age don't realize, or a lot of people younger than us don't realize that how many movies that we were classics in our childhood that she was a part of, like as a producer and everything else.
I was looking at my Back to the Future poster months ago, and I sent Bruce a video. I was looking at the names on it, and Kathleen Kennedy's on there. I was like, "What?"
Well, all of the Indiana Jones movies, for the most part,
and she danced in Temple of Doom.
And she danced in Temple of Doom at the first part of the movie. I was about to say that. Thank you for adding that, Joe. She was involved. I mean, and look at who her husband is. I mean, come on. Like, he's a classic and as a producer too. You know, Frank Marshall. You know. So.
Oh wow.
You know, one thing I hate about the Kathleen Kennedy hate. People like to diminish her role by saying she held George Lucas's coffee or was his assistant or whatever. She's come a long way on her own merits from those times.
She was trained at the knee of both Spielberg and Lucas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them taught her what they know, and those guys are legends. The woman is not a mistake to have in business. She is a hell of a businesswoman.
Isn't she one of the most successful producers in all Hollywood history?
Yes.
Yeah. But I'll tell
you.
I know it's because her name's attached to a lot of stuff that other bigger names did, but still.
And I'll tell you why a certain element of fandom has a problem with Kathleen Kennedy. And it's all because of a picture I showed Brucifer last week. And it was done as a publicity stunt. It had nothing to do with Star Wars at all. It was for Women's Day, and it was to show these two young girls.
Do you still have that picture laying around?
Yeah. Give me a second.
I think we know the Force is female picture.
Yes.
That's the one I'm talking about, yeah. But there are two young girls in that picture, and what she was making a point is those girls wanted to know if there was a place for themselves in Hollywood as producers. And she was proving that there was. And the thing is, that was a publicity stunt for Women's Day like 6 or 7 years ago. And they take that as her saying that's what she wanted to do with Star Wars. And it's like Joe said earlier, she's not in the writer's room.
Nope.
She is literally... She does have final say on certain things, but I think people really overplay the amount of hands that she has in creative, which I don't think is as significant as people feel.
I wish Don was here tonight because the next slide will prove something to him. Please go to the next slide.
Uh-oh.
Disney pressured Marvel and Lucasfilm to announce projects prematurely. Marvel president Kevin Feige and Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy asked to announce several projects to get investors and fans excited. Their hands were forced by current Disney CEO Bob Iger and then executive Bob Chapek. Boom.
Well, that's still no excuse for why Star Wars hasn't at least had a decent movie in the pipeline for years.
Well, no, but that's partial. Well, actually, no. That a lot of that's on Chapek. Chapek wanted to boost Marvel and not Star Wars, and that was part of the problem. Iger says he'll right the ship, but I don't even trust him these days after the strikes. After the things I heard he said during the strikes,
Oh yeah.
the man is horrible.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you have to understand that Disney Plus has been bleeding money for quarter after quarter after quarter.
That's every streaming service. It takes
Every
years.
stream-
No, the Max made money last quarter.
Most of this-
Max made money. Disney lost $500 million last quarter, and that was the best quarter they had.
most streaming services are not going to be all that profitable for
Peacock.
for companies. Max is the one
Paramount.
exception, but I guarantee you, with the way that brain fart. God, I was just complaining about him the other day. The one that's heading up.
Iger?
No, not Iger. The one that's heading up Warner Discovery now. Zaslav.
Zaslav?
I guarantee you, with Zaslav killing projects like he's doing,
Mhm.
Max is going to bottom out too. Plus, we still have to. I mean, the strikes may be over, but we still have to get through next year. And next year's going to be barren. Very, very barren.
Well, the problem with Disney Plus was their production budgets and everything else were so significant, and their subscribership wasn't carrying. Even though they were raising subscriber rates, it didn't matter. It wasn't offsetting the amount that they were spending on production costs.
Part of what's going to help Disney Plus next year, they're combining with Hulu, and that's gonna allow them to diversify a whole lot more than they have right now. They're basically going to pull what Discovery Plus did with Max, with HBO Max.
ESPN. What they should do is do that with ESPN.
You know, I just want to go back to the whole Star Wars not having a good movie in years.
I'm not having a movie.
A movie in general.
Not having a movie in the pipeline, I think, was a problem.
There were decades when there was no Star Wars content.
No, of course there was, but we're living in the day of here's 70 Marvel movies, and now the same company that's pushing out 70 Marvel movies owns Star Wars.
And again,
Are you going to get?
They prioritize.
That goes back to Chapek. They prioritized Marvel over Star Wars. They
But
wanted
you had
to,
go ahead.
They wanted to expand the quote unquote television side of Star Wars, but they didn't want to expand the movie side of Star Wars. Now, there are some movies that were announced at Celebration, which I covered on another show that I used to be a part of, that if they get made, which a couple of them most likely will, are going to help with the movie problem over on the Star Wars side of things.
Yeah, well, I remember them announcing a lot of things with Patty Jenkins, and we saw how that worked out.
Well, the one movie that I'm interested in seeing, and this is the one movie they say is definitely getting made, is the Mangold movie. Is where they talk about the history of the Jedi and the Sith that goes all the way back to the start of the Jedi. Yeah. That movie that's getting made is going to be really good because Mangold is a great director.
Well, you might have to wait a while for that because I don't know if he's going to do Swamp Thing first.
He's doing Swamp Thing first, so it's going to be 2027 before we get the Destiny movie. But
I think the only movie you're going to get out of Lucasfilm is going to be whatever Filoni's cooking up in his brain right now for that Mandoverse with Thrawn and everything else. I think that's the only thing that's going to push through.
To tell you the truth, the Mandoverse stuff is really good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I even liked Ahsoka. Which, you know, all the people crying and whining about, oh, you have to do all this homework to watch Ahsoka. You really didn't.
No, my problem with Ahsoka was it just, by the time it was done, I felt like I just watched a trailer for season 2, not a self-contained story arc. And that kind of bothered me a little bit. I thought overall, quality-wise, it was better than a lot of the stuff we've got in the past. I liked Mando season 1. I liked Ahsoka. I thought Andor was fantastic.
I liked Obi-Wan.
I thought Obi-Wan was a hot mess of trash. There were so many plot holes in that.
Well, plot holes aside, I loved the story, and a lot of the things that people call plot holes really aren't if you pay attention to.
No, it was more. Sorry, I guess plot holes is overstating. It was just dumb things that make no sense in a movie.
It's Star Wars.
Hey, we came to this checkpoint, and we're going to do all this finagling to go around it and say there was stupid things that happened in it that made no sense.
But hasn't it always been Star Wars?
Yeah, it has been, but we were getting Ewan McGregor back. We were getting Darth Vader scenes. It was supposed to be this.
Dude, you have to admit that Darth Vader scenes were impressive. I especially love the one where he drags Obi-Wan through the fire.
Through the yeah.
And then it was like, I'm done. It had its serious issues.
Well,
was that right?
The real problem with that movie,
can't. Yeah.
The real problem with that show is the same problem you have with all prequels. You lose the tenseness of the situation because you know that character's still alive later on. Yep. Okay, you knew that they couldn't kill Obi-Wan. But if you suspend disbelief in that for just a little bit, look at just watching a story, it did okay. I'm not saying it was perfect. None of those things are all ever perfect. The OT wasn't even perfect. The original trilogy wasn't even perfect.
Of course not. My big issue with anything is because I have such a nostalgia for the original. I want away from the Skywalker timeline. I want like what Mangold's doing. I want Acolyte.
What? Did you just say that?
Dude, yes. Acolyte is going
that goes
to be
against
amazing.
Everything Dom believes in.
I know, but that's what I've wanted. I wanted High Republic. I want them to do something different because you're never going to say, I'm sorry. It bothers me watching Obi-Wan have this great bond with little Leia. And then you sit there and watch Obi-Wan die in the original trilogy, and she doesn't seem to really give a shit.
Okay. I can explain that though. She was there for Luke. But the thing about it is remember how Leia was. Leia never showed a great deal of emotion because she was always bound to her duty, to who she thought she was supposed to be. She was a lot like Padme. So I mean, mother? Okay, Padme was not an awful mother. She died. Come on.
She gave up. She gave up.
Died of a broken heart.
There's a difference. She gave up.
Can you repeat that? She did what?
She gave up. She was an awful mother. She gave up. She cared more about the Republic than her children.
And all I have to say to this is, you want to talk about plot holes in Star Wars? Let's go to the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi. When Luke asks Leia about her mother.
Yep.
Your real mother. Do you remember your mother, your real mother? She was just images, really feelings. She was beautiful, kind, but sad. Why are you asking me this question? I mean, those are the exact lines. And Leia never set eyes on her mother.
No. Nope.
Rey Skywalker is the future. Leia didn't give a shit about Alderaan blowing up.
Yeah, all we got out of Leia about Alderaan was what? That's all we got out of her. And after that, nothing else about Alderaan. Leia was a cold fish. Leia was a cold fish. That's why I want
something different. Get out of these legacy characters. Trying to do fan service with legacy characters, stuff like that. And
I completely agree.
To something completely new because I don't care. Yeah, I will watch something new, and if it's bad, I will sit and go, okay, that's okay. At least you tried.
I'm looking
but
forward.
I don't have that other crap in the back of my head like I do with the other stuff.
I'm looking forward to Acolyte. It looks really good.
Going to be good.
And honestly,
I love Leslie Headland.
You want to know my opinion? Out of Star Wars content we've gotten lately, the best story has been in 2 video games.
Yep,
that is true.
Yeah,
Fallen Order and
Jedi Survivor and amazing stories.
God, I have both those games. I have yet to finish them.
And I hope we eventually see that character in live action.
Cal Kestis, yeah,
Cal Kestis.
We will.
I love Cal Kestis. I think Cal Kestis and Andor been 2 of the best characters introduced lately.
The problem with
BD1.
The problem with Star Wars and them trying to do something new, you'll have people saying nobody can criticize or do anything Star Wars unless you saw the original films. You know, they want 1 million cameos. They want everything from the extended universe.
But you start clean. I think you take away 75% of the people that have issues with, oh, I don't agree how Luke's portrayed. I don't care why they do this to Han.
Yeah,
Leia.
but then
You get away from all that possible stuff, and it's just like, here's a story. You can complain about the story structurally, but that's about all you got.
But Joe, to play devil's advocate here, if you do that and you go with story, and this is what I know is going to happen with Acolyte and anything else they do, if you go outside of the Skywalker stuff, there's going to be the ones with the nostalgia glasses saying, "Oh, well, you've gone away from the Skywalker saga, so this isn't real Star Wars." I mean, they do it with Andor
Not
all
my
the
Star
time.
Wars.
Well,
It's not my, they do it with Andor all the time.
I've heard people say Andor is not real Star Wars because there's no Jedis in it. What?
Yep.
But there's
and we know who said that.
There's a whole world of books and comics and everything else that tackles. I mean, they're doing a whole High Republic. They've been doing this. We're on phase 3 of the High Republic right now in comics and books. They're doing their world building. They're building out characters for a new generation. And granted, you'd still have a few ties. Yoda's still popping around here and there. You're getting some people that are familiar. But overall, it's a whole new cast of people, whole new stories.
Well, it's like I told
got that
Bruce,
Yoda.
It's like I told Brucifer the other night when he found out that I'm a huge Star Wars fan. All of these Star Wars people who talk about and whine about that when Disney bought Star Wars, they killed the EU.
Canon.
You would think that I would be the biggest problem with that because I read every EU novel. I loved the extended universe, but I loved them with the knowledge of knowing that Lucas said those were not canon.
Yeah. Well, they were always, that's the thing. Star Wars was always very clear of this is canon, this is not canon, and canon meant something. Star Wars is a weird fandom because there is a
Star Trek is the
really
same way.
strict adherence to canon.
Star Trek's the same way.
Star Trek is perfect.
Yeah, but
Except
you have
for
to
everything
admit.
Alex Kurtzman touched.
Hey, come on.
Hey.
I got an ally on the panel tonight, damn it.
Sorry, you don't like the truth.
All
Move
right,
on.
next slide.
Move on.
Move on. Let's go. Stephen Yeun will be playing the superhero Sentry in the MCU, confirmed Robert Kirkman.
That's going to be interesting.
I have no problem with the casting. I just don't.
I just
don't need the character. I don't
like him.
I don't like overpowered superheroes.
I
They
don't.
bore me.
Marvel has 3 different Superman, Superman type characters. They have Sentry, they have Hyperion, and they have Gladiator. They're all very Superman-like. Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
But they're all very Superman-like. Now, the thing is Sentry, I like his backstory, but I don't think you should ever put a character like Sentry, Molecule Man, or even the Beyonder into the MCU. Because those will break things. I mean, you're already breaking things with Kang and
Wanda.
And that's enough. Wanda's enough to bring Sentry into the MCU.
In Thunderbolts, nonetheless.
Yeah,
that's even weirder.
Well, the only
Unless
reason
they're planning
bringing
on
him...
making him the villain as the Void.
Now, that's the problem, though. The Void's gonna break things, man. Thanos was bad enough when it comes to cosmic BS. And I mean, I have no problem with Thanos, and I have no problem with what the MCU's done. To be honest with you, I give or take with the MCU, but that's coming from a huge Marvel fan. I give or take with the MCU. I haven't watched everything, and I won't probably ever watch everything. But my thing is you have characters that are Omega level, and then you have characters that are beyond Omega level. Mm-hmm. And beyond Omega level characters should only be used sparingly.
Yep, I agree.
Because
if at all.
And Void, I'm sorry, Void is worse than any of the true immortals of Marvel. The Void can kill Eternity of all things, and Eternity is like the be all and end all. The only thing above Eternity is the one above all. And this thing can kill Eternity. So why? Why do
Just
we need
why?
the Sentry?
Yeah.
You know,
This makes no sense to me. I
They're
didn't
just gonna
understand it.
yeah.
one of two
Right.
They're
things
gonna
is
make
going to
him
happen.
weaker. That's all
One
they're
of
gonna
two
do.
things is going to happen with Sentry. They're either going to break what they're doing in the MCU with Sentry, or they're going to nerf the crap out of him. And what's the
Mhm.
point?
That's
Yeah.
that's
Every
what they're gonna do.
every third X-Men member is an Omega level power.
Yeah.
Okay, core
It
characters,
is
core
getting there.
characters, maybe, but not every other. I mean, we have more than enough useless mutants. I mean, think about a character like Peepers
Maggot.
or Maggot or Ice
Maggot.
Cream Man. You know, like Maggot. Why? Oh God, why did they create Japheth? Why?
You know, and I thought Doug Ramsey was the most useless mutant. Jeez.
Dude, during the Krakoa era, Doug became important.
I know. He was the only one that could talk to Krakoa.
Yep.
But I even think that they're going to have a problem with Omega level mutants in the MCU.
Oh yeah.
Think
Eventually.
about
Yeah.
think about the Phoenix. There's a reason why they've never done a good Phoenix a good representation of the Phoenix except for in cartoons. Because it's very hard to do a character like the Phoenix Force any justice in a movie. It's difficult.
There's no need for the Phoenix to ever be in the MCU. Never. They're never going to get it right. It's never going to seem right.
Yep.
She's just going to wipe everybody out.
I mean, unless, like I said, unless they do it animation, which I could see them doing it animation because they've done a lot of that with like the first season of What If, when they did
Mhm.
Infinity Ultron. But like
Yeah, I didn't like what if.
in actual live action, though, yeah.
How cool would it be though if they introduced like the Shi'ar and they did the Phoenix properly? I mean, it would
That
be
would be-
amazing
okay.
if they could pull it off.
Okay, that would
That'd
be
be
great.
cool.
That would be great. And the only reason they do that in Dark Phoenix, and I've done a deep dive on this, is because the Shi'ar were still owned by main core Marvel. The name Shi'ar was still owned by main Marvel. Fox did not have the rights to Shi'ar, and that's the only reason that didn't go across. And they also originally Dark Phoenix was supposed to involve the Skrulls. But because Marvel still owned the Skrulls and Fox didn't, they used the Nagari, which were retarded.
Yeah, Marvel did a real bang up job with the Skrulls, Secret Invasion.
You know, it's funny. Fox, they didn't have the rights to many X-Men characters that debuted in X-Men. Sony has a freaking deal with any character debuted in Spider-Man comics they own.
Well, that's
How did
why
that happen?
that's why Apocalypse was so horrible in the Fox X-Men movies, was because they didn't have access to the Celestials. And the only way to do Apocalypse right is Celestial technology. I mean, they literally nerfed Apocalypse in Dark Phoenix. I mean, not Dark Phoenix, in Apocalypse. The only two good movies of the original Fox First Class storyline are First Class and Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
The rest
Logan.
well, I'm saying like I'm saying the Days of Future. I'm saying the First Class movies, the X-Men movies when they revamped the X-Men line. The only two good movies are Days of Future Past and First Class. The other two movies, because Marvel still owned aspects of those characters that they used, they had to screw those stories all to hell and back, and it didn't work out. But like, I don't know, like. I'm hoping the MCU does the X-Men well, and with Feige there, and knowing that Feige was a part of the original X-Men animated series in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
I think that he will, because the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are like passion projects for Feige, because that's what he really wanted to concentrate on, and that's why he pushed so hard for them to buy the Fox properties, was because he wanted to play with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. I'm looking forward to these things because of Feige.
I have low expectations for both projects.
Can we
Not
can we
gonna-
spoil the end of Marvels yet or no?
It's been long enough.
It's been long enough, yeah.
That's been long.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm curious how they're going to do that, because it was an alternate reality where we saw Beast.
Right.
So how are they going to tie that into the MCU?
Okay, well, they're going to
Deadpool.
bring a lot of that in through Secret Wars.
Deadpool.
Well, it's going to start with Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Because they're basically doing Deadpool kills the Fox universe, for all intents and purposes, from what the
Yeah.
rumors are. And then it's going to continue into I disagree on the Pedro Pascal thing. I think Pedro can play Reed because they were never going to make the Fantastic Four exactly like they are in the comics. I'm sorry,
No.
that was never going to happen.
And that's fine.
And I
don't
don't
know.
mind. I don't mind the diversity characters because, unlike with Black Panther, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny, and the only thing that's integral to their characters is their personalities, not their ethnicities. Okay.
Don't look at me. I want Javier Bardem as Doctor Doom, so it's
Yeah, the only thing that there's only two characters when it comes to Fantastic Four that they have to do something with because it's an integral part of their storyline.
You know, I don't
Dr.
even think
Doom-
it's about. I don't even think it's Pascal's race that people are. I think it's his age.
I don't mind if they're well. The rumor is they're going to do the Fantastic Four as kind of the Fantastic Four have always been there, but that they were lost
Kinda
in the
retcon
quantum
them in.
realm. So they came out
Yeah.
in the '60s. So if they do it with Pedro Pascal as being Reed Richards, who's been in the quantum realm for so long, it's okay with his age to be Reed Richards.
Shit, they could even
Yeah.
introduce the negative zone.
Yeah, and they've
Ooh.
talked. That's another rumor I've heard. They've
Nihilus.
talked about. A nihilist would be a great enemy to start out.
like I said, I truthfully don't care who they cast as the Fantastic Four. I care who they cast as Doctor Doom.
Well,
Yeah.
so Doctor Doom needs to be Eastern European because that was integral to his character. And the other character in the Fantastic Four that needs to be that a certain aspect of his ethnicity needs to be integral to him is Ben Grimm has to be Jewish. Because that was integral to why he was the way he was. Reed, Sue, and Johnny, it doesn't matter what ethnicity they are.
Yeah.
What matters with Reed, Sue, and Johnny is their personalities. Johnny and Sue have to be the same race because they're brother and sister.
Be adopted again.
But they could also be adopted. That works too. But as long as Johnny's a hothead, Sue is the mother figure, and Reed is the ass that he's always been, that works for me.
Yeah.
So
like I
can we
said,
all agree that Cyclops is better than Reed?
Yes.
No.
All right, thank you.
No.
Reed
No.
Reed
'Cause
cares more
Reed
cares
is a
more
horrible
about
person.
science. Reed cares more about science than his own wife, and that's been proven time and again in the comics. He is as bad as Hank Pym to his
Oof.
wife as
When he
Hank
slapped her?
was to the Wasp, okay?
Without the domestic abuse.
Without the
Yeah.
domestic abuse. But you could almost you could almost say that the emotional abuse and the lack of being there because he's always got his head stuck up his ass about science is just as bad as slapping Sue around. I mean, come on. Did anybody ever wonder why Sue wanted Namor? Namor at least paid more attention to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next
Hot
slide,
Hot ocean
please.
baloney.
I
Let's
think
get into the
Pascal would
dumb
make
now.
a good read, though.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Like I said, I don't really care who they cast. Like I said, I really don't care who they cast as Reed, Johnny, or Sue. But I do care about Doctor Doom really because I want well cast good villains.
All right. Last night, Jason Momoa was on Jimmy Fallon's show, and he said the DCU's officially ends after Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. There will always be a place for me at DC. Does that mean Aquaman is coming, or is he going to play Lobo?
I can actually see Jason Momoa play a really good Lobo.
How
Or you
many
can
of
play
these-
both.
Oh, yeah.
How many of these people say just make these public statements just because nobody's going to call them out on? Like Warner Brothers isn't going to come out and be like, "No, we're not touching Jason Momoa ever." So he basically just shoved his foot in the door and prevented them from closing anything on him because he said, "No, they told me there'll always be a place for me."
Okay,
Wow,
so-
look what they,
fans,
look
and
what they did
fans
to
will
him.
want it.
Well,
Look what they
here's
did to Henry Cavill. He made a whole video about coming back as Superman.
No. Let me make something terribly clear about Henry Cavill, and because I was so much part of that Snyder side of things that it aggravated the piss out of me. Cavill, James Gunn never said he was going to totally get rid of Cavill. He even said, Cavill's not my Superman, but I am working with him for something in the future.
Yep.
He's not fully gotten rid of Cavill. And Cavill knows that. And the thing about Henry Cavill is he landed on his feet anyway.
Oh, yeah.
He's got Highlander coming in 2 years.
Yep.
He's got
Hyped
the
for
deal with Amazon and Games Workshop to do the 40K, the Warhammer 40K stuff, where he's executive producer. He's basically Feige over there. I mean, the guy has landed on his feet. I love Henry Cavill, but the man will always land on his feet when it comes to the acting jobs he needs. People said, "Well, since Warner got rid of him and since he's not on The Witcher anymore, oh poor Henry, my ass." And even Henry knows that. Henry's like, "Yeah, whatever, you know." He's fine. Besides that, he could stop acting.
Unfortunately, he's never had a really good breakout movie that shot him to the A-list.
Due to his family.
Man and Uncles, right?
Due to his family. Due to his family. Even if he quit acting tomorrow, he'll be just fine. His father was in finance. He can live quite well on what he's been given by his family. And he'll even tell you that. He's not worried about stardom, and that's the cool thing about Henry Cavill. He's cool with just picking up projects because being an A-lister was never a major thing for him.
Well, he doesn't care about the project that he works on.
The very first thing I ever saw him in was The Count of Monte Cristo. You know, he played the kid in The Count of Monte Cristo. He was also in The Tudors, which was about the rule of Henry VIII. He was his best friend, Charles Brandon. You know, the man will always land on his feet. He'll always pick up character roles. And he's okay with that. If he wasn't, then he would do exactly. We would all love to be. No, that wasn't Joe. That's me. But okay.
That's Dade.
And the only reason, and tell
I'm
you
not
the truth,
stalking Cavill.
The only reason I know so much about Henry Cavill is because my fiance is a Henry Cavill fangirl. So, like, she tells me all this stuff more than I've ever wanted to know about Henry, to be honest. But look, the thing about that is like, it's okay.
Make you wear a long white-haired wig.
We don't
Didn't
talk
he choose
about
to leave The Witcher though? Because they didn't get rid of him. He got rid of them because they weren't being true to the story.
They weren't being true to the story.
He didn't need them. He was like, I don't need this crap, and he left.
And that goes back to what I've said. He doesn't need acting to survive. He's okay. Even if he took off several years, he'd be fine. You know? That was completely and utterly no point to that scene in The Flash. At all.
Funny.
It was hilarious,
It was just a comic relief scene. Everyone loves shitting on Aquaman.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people don't realize, because a lot of people who watch these movies, and I've said this to Brucifer, a lot of people who watch these movies aren't true comic book fans. Okay.
No.
But if they were, they would know that people have been shitting on Aquaman since the 60s. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Goddamn Justice. What was it on Super Friends?
Super Friends. Super Friends turned Aquaman into a joke. He talks to fish. That's his only power. I mean, come on. I mean, what is the famous line I've heard often? Aquaman sucks. The only thing that made Aquaman popular again was Jason Momoa.
I liked him in the 90s when he lost his hand.
Huh?
I'll forget you said that, Bruce.
When his hand was eaten off by piranhas.
Dude,
in the 90s.
The cooler character than Aquaman in the Aquaman books was Black Manta. Okay,
Black Manta's always been cool.
I agree. Black Manta's a great villain.
Is that why he has the hook for a hand?
Yes, that's why Aquaman had the hook, was because he got eaten by piranhas.
And issue 2 of the 95 or 96 series.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was right after 0 Hour. So yeah.
Fish have been shitting on him his whole cheese.
I mean, what was it that Peacemaker said to him in the final episode of Peacemaker? You fuck fish.
Like I said, he's always been a
He loves his
Sticks, give me that damn news.
What's the news, Sticks? All right, we read some comic books this week, and we're about to talk about them because we actually read comic books here. We don't just look at the pretty pictures. The first book up. Joe's favorite book, The Ministry of Compliance, written by John Ridley, art by Stefano Raphael.
I will let Five talk about it first because he liked it.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was
I
great.
don't want to shit all over it, and then you have to talk about how you liked it. So I'll let you talk about how you liked it first.
No, I loved it. I thought it was a great story, a great start. It was 60. I looked online. It was like 67 pages for a number one comic. So it was a little lengthy. It was a little wordy. They did try to fit a lot of world building. I mean, the story only takes place in maybe a day's time.
Yeah.
But
It was like a week.
I don't even know if it was that long. Probably a couple days, but
yeah,
they did a lot of world building in one issue, and it was definitely wordy. It was thick, but I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
The story did a lot of running, but it was all on a treadmill. Went nowhere.
Yeah.
I do think the main character, she is badass with her sword.
Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of when I was reading it? The vibe that I started to pick up was.
What was that?
Christian Bale in Equilibrium.
Oh yeah.
I just kind of felt that kind of dystopian future.
It also had kind of
vibe.
a Blade Runner vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
I just read this like right before. That's why I was a little late coming to
because it's longer than shit. I don't blame you.
Yeah,
I'd be late
I kept like because I was reading it on my tablet, and I'm sitting here scrolling, reading, and I'm like, how
it just keeps on going.
Is this thing like, and look, it's a good story.
I did not know it was that long.
I'm kind of vibing with this character, the main character, the Minister of Compliance.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her sword. Her sword is amazing.
Yeah,
it seems to get longer as she pulls it out of the sheath, which is really interesting. I don't know if it's
That's what she said.
I don't know if it's like the TARDIS in there, or if
TARDIS.
If the sword
it's
is a
that
grower.
Alien technology. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I don't know if
I don't know if it's like the sword's a grower, not a shower. I don't know, but like,
for people that haven't read this book, it's about aliens being sleeper agents on Earth, planning to take over. But the problem is, the aliens have lost their way and started acting just like humans, sleeping with humans, having kids with humans. And then it seems like everything is falling apart in their world.
Here's my problem. Yep. They are the agents of de-evolution.
Yep.
And they basically are supposed to destabilize Earth to the point where they can absorb it. So you have all these different ministries, which are the alien groups. No, I still don't understand what any of them goddamn do. They have names like Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Compliance, but it's never really explained in all those goddamn pages of dense shit what they actually do to destabilize Earth.
Well, that's what issue 2's for.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get me 67 pages through a bunch of bullshit and try to do all this world building and all this stuff, and you haven't gotten to the point where you've kind of explained what these ministries kind of do outside of Ministry of Compliance, because that's the one that just kind of oversees the other ministries to make sure they're not fucking up. It's just kind of like, I don't know. By the time I got through it, I was like,
that sounds like my job at Renovision.
Yeah,
overseeing you guys so you don't fuck up.
I just felt let down after I got through all of that, and I was like, really? That's what I got out of that? It wasn't enough for me. And it didn't tease me
67 pages wasn't enough?
Well, no. Again, the next book that we're going to talk about, far sparser. It left big holes in terms of what could be happening, and it made me want to read the next one to know what's happening. Yep. This felt like maybe it was just because I read like 4 books before it and I flew through them, and then I got to this, and maybe that's because it was just so big and dense.
I will say this: if this was a Marvel book, this would have been $10. It's only $5.99.
Yeah,
which is not bad for.
I'm not paying by the
okay, so my opinion on this one, it was long, but the length of the book is not my problem. Okay. It's densely packed for as many pages as it is. but I find myself left with two questions. One, why? Who are these aliens? Why are they here? Actually,
I got generally why they're there, but it wasn't really explained well enough.
Actually, three questions I have. One, why are they there fully? Two, why 39 years? When they said that it's taken mostly 16 for the rest of the planets
Because humans are stubborn.
taken. And three, well, I kind of got that idea, but there's more behind that. Three, I like the main character, and I know she's supposed to be the focus of the book, but I find more in common with the half-breed that she takes onto her team that's actually snaking her in the background.
Yeah.
That's part of the rebellion.
I agree. Again, I think if I would have just got a little more about what they are doing to Earth to destabilize it,
And the
I think
vibe,
I would have been far more interested.
the vibe I kind of get on this, and I'm gonna go kind of historical, but also kind of like human mythology on this. This has a lot. This smacks of a lot of the Book of Enoch, and these angels coming to Earth and having things running in the background. But then you've got some of the angels, or aliens in this case, mating amongst humans. And there's some give or take there. I can see threads of like mythology in this story and kind of a little bit of the whole ancient aliens route of things and
Mhm.
everything. Plus, we don't know how long I mean, they say 39 years, but how long did it take them to scout out humanity? How long did it take them to come here? Have they been amongst us this whole time? These are questions I want answered. Now, mind you, I'm going to read the second book because this is an interesting story so far,
God bless
Yeah.
and I have questions.
you. I'm not.
But one of my major problems is, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and go with Joe, who didn't like the book apparently. And that's not me crapping on you, Joe. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I did not like the book. I did.
But what I said, and this goes back to something I said about another certain guy on the other side of fandom that wrote his own book.
Oh, which one?
Do we mention names on this channel, Brucifer?
Sure, why not?
Okay, I saw same length,
Oh,
same length,
I heard the same complaint about that book. You're actually
And-
absolutely right.
and even with the second book, what I fear with the second book on this
Be
one
right back.
is that it's going to do the same as ISOM did, because even in ISOM number 2, you still have no motivation.
And that's my big problem. There's so many indies out there, so
And-
many indie books, and mostly what I read are indie books. But there's so many. You have to catch me in the first issue. You better grab me, and better have me interested, because there's too much other shit to read that
And this is
looks
what,
interesting.
and this is where I was going with what I have to say. 67 pages of this book that I hope the second book does better. Yet, you go back to a book like Amazing Fantasy number 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man,
It's
and
horrible.
it did in 15 pages. It did in 15 pages what ISOM couldn't do in two 67-page books. Okay? And I hope that the second part of this doesn't leave me wanting. Okay?
Like I said, to me,
So
it
find
didn't
it
put out enough.
I find it an interesting story, Red. It's a great story. I just
Yeah.
hope they do more for the second book.
And I think we're going to find out, there's a lot going on that, things aren't as they seem. I think she's going to start unraveling things behind the scenes and start realizing that, oh, maybe, there's some other
She's
stuff
gonna
going on
realize
here.
she's on the wrong side and should be on the right
Yeah.
side.
So-
I just have a feeling it's gonna just fall down those generic tropes.
Yeah, it might.
I'm the
It
badass
could.
character who's the enforcer, but I realize I've been working for the wrong side all along, and now, yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
find myself going, I want to know more of the story. I want to get there with it.
Mhm.
I just hope the second book doesn't leave me wanting. Because if the second book
Um,
leaves me wanting, I won't continue the story.
One thing I will say about the character design, there's a sci-fi show that I've seen that there's a black woman that she's badass, and I just can't remember her name and the show. It was on Sci-Fi Network, I believe.
Live action.
There's
show.
yeah, it's a live action, and she would be perfect for this role. I just gotta remember who she is.
Oh, and
This book
Bro,
reminded me.
by the way, AOA, I'm not a liberal. I know you're making a joke there. I'm not a liberal, not by a damn side. I'm a centrist, but I get why you said. I get the joke. I understand it, dude.
This book reminded me a lot of reading Jonathan Hickman, because it was wordy, it was lengthy, it was a lot going on in a single issue. So
Oh, I
I don't know. I've
definitely
never
got
heard of John Ridley.
I definitely got Hickman vibes from this story.
Yeah.
With the length and the wordiness of it and the denseness of the pack.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
almost like with 67 pages, they were trying to do too much, but left us wanting more. And that's not a bad thing. Look, leaving somebody wanting more is not a bad thing. I just hope that they stick they stick at least a good landing with the second part of the story, or like I said, it's going to lose my interest.
They filled holes they didn't have to fill, and they left open things that they should have cleared up.
There, you just said you said it well right there, Joe. You said it very well.
That was my problem with it. It's like you gave me a lot, but I didn't really give a shit about a lot of what you gave me. You should have given me certain points and then left other things out. I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't left wanting more. I was left thinking, I'm not going to read number 2 of this.
See, and I was the exact opposite. I was like, wow, I can't wait till issue 2 comes out.
Yeah,
So.
like I said, it didn't leave me wanting where I needed to be left.
I'm going to give issue 2 a read and see if it still will hold my interest. But
I'm probably going to end up reading it anyway now because now I have to see do they write what I felt was wrong. You're correct. Have to, I will read it just to see if they do that. If they give me the same pile of shit, I'm not going to be happy.
Terry Floyd, Gina Torres, and Cleopatra 2525.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that show. I remember that show, Bruce. Yeah. And she does have that vibe. She does have that vibe. Joe just wanted graphic nudity.
He did.
Hey, look,
that would have helped.
There's nothing wrong with a little graphic nudity in a indie book, okay?
This is an IDW book.
My favorite books I read. Again, my favorite books are indie books. I love, Blackout Bombshell is my favorite book I'm reading right now. I love the first 2 issues of it. It's fantastic. It leaves me wanting more. I want to keep reading the story. It's not horribly dense, but it's just a good story. This was hard for me. It was,
now the second book is a completely different style of writing, and this is a writer who is amazing at setting up in a first issue.
Yep, exactly. I mean, like, you might as well throw to the next one, Bruce, and
so we can next slide.
It was a good transition to it.
The Deviant, written by Tinian and art by Joshua Hickson.
This is the perfect way you start an issue 1. And I mean, you could be more dense with the text if you wanted, but there was a lot of subtext. There was a lot of visual. There wasn't a ton of dialogue, but they set up a story. They gave you enough info to give you the context of what's going on, and they left enough out to really want you to read the second one. I was hooked into 3 or 4 pages into it. I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this so far, and like I said, I want to read the second one. It was a quick, easy read, and just grab me.
I'm all for serial killers and trying to find out who the serial killer is and add Tinian into the mix. It just was amazing.
Santa Claus.
For me. Oh.
Okay, so first of all, James Tinian is a great writer.
Yep.
Yes.
And this had very like I read The Nice House by the Lake.
Yes,
that was great.
Which is an amazing story. and this kind of has that same vibe a little bit.
Mhm.
He always starts. He's a very strong the way he starts a story.
Yeah. Now this book, it was minimalist, which was good because it leaves your mind working on the story. Like, and the questions I had are, is the kid that was interviewing the the man in the prison,
Supposed killer. Yeah.
is he the killer?
I
Is
didn't
he
think
this new
I didn't
killer?
get that. I didn't get
See, I
that.
was wondering the same thing.
Is
Michael
he
is
is
yeah.
Michael the new killer?
Mhm.
Has he been since because he goes into the story, in the story he goes into how he lived in the same town that this happened, and he heard about this since he was a child, and he's and the old man in the prison, calls him out for being gay, and you have to wonder, like, was he so
He draws
afraid?
parallels.
Yeah,
The
was
old guy
he?
draws parallels to the kid.
Yeah, and the thing that I want to know about Michael is he so screwed up about who he is that
Mhm.
now he's taken on the soul of this old man that supposedly was the original murderer, and that goes back, and you can draw all of that back to the title of the book, The Deviant.
Or the old guy wasn't the killer in the first
No, he's
place.
not the killer. He said he's not
He
the
said
killer.
he said it. He wasn't.
He said he's not the killer.
He said he's not, but you can't
But
always
he's in
trust the
prison.
serial killer.
He's
He's
in prison for the killings.
he's in prison
So,
for the
you
killings.
don't know.
And what I know from and why this really gets me is because I'm a huge true crime guy. So like that character in the prison, the old man that's the supposed original killer,
Hmm.
gives off vibes of other serial killers I've heard in real life, that I've heard listened to talk about their
Yeah.
lives and everything else. So he could very well be lying. He could also be innocent. We don't know yet. But that's the greatness of this story, and why I'm looking forward to issue 2 now.
And the title is what was used to describe gay men and deviants.
Yeah.
So I once I read the story, I'm like, ooh, and that's this cover right here.
Dude, that cover's amazing.
It's
That's
amazing.
one of the best covers.
Bermejo always kills it, man. He's just awesome.
See, the feeling I got from it was the guy's idolized this story. He's idolized this serial killer, and now he's getting the chance to interview him. And I think he might be the actual current killer.
Well, Michael, the one thing that I've taken away from Michael is he has this very meek kind of seeming to himself. He seems very meek.
Yeah.
And and this goes back to, again, to my true crime interest. A lot of serial killers have that meekness, or at least they present that to the world because they're fighting with who they are inside themselves. Okay, they're
Yeah.
fighting with the quote unquote deviant things they've done. And again, that draws not only to what gay men have been called in the past, but also to being a serial killer. You're a serial killer. You're a deviant. There's obviously something wrong inside your head or inside your heart that causes you to go out and do these deviant things and kill. And I
Yeah.
see this a lot in my line of work. I've worked I've worked in board before, and I've done autopsy and stuff. And I've had to go and actually talk at and give testimony at grand juries for murderers. And I've seen this
I
time
want to
and
get the
time
hose
again.
again, Terry.
Huh?
Sorry, I had to tell Terry that he didn't want to get the hose again.
Speaking of him bringing that up, there's a song by the Greenskeepers called "Lotion" that's about the Buffalo Bill character in that movie. And part of the chorus is, "It puts the lotion on the skin, or else it gets the hose again."
You know, if this ends up being the same killer from 1973 to 2023, I think the killer's supernatural in some aspect.
It could be, and that's the beauty of this story. It could be the kid that's predominantly the main character. It could be the old man that's in prison, or it could be a supernatural killer. We don't know. And that's what's going to lead into reading the next book, because with the minimalist way they do this book, it draws your it makes your mind do the work for you, like a lot of horror movies do. It makes your mind do the work for you. And that's part of what's so good about psychological horror, is it makes you do the work.
Is
It
this
gives
a
you
ongoing series or a limited series? Does
I
anybody
think it's
know?
gonna be a limited series.
Nine issues.
I have a feeling you're like me, Thade, where you want to constantly harass Netflix to bring back another season of Mindhunter.
Oh God, yes.
That was Mindhunter.
Mindhunter's freaking amazing.
Goes back to my Fincher love.
But yeah, this book was definitely intriguing.
Am I lagging?
No, you're good. You're good.
You're good.
This book was definitely intriguing to me, and it really, really makes my choice feel very adolescent. But that's, but I love what they're trying to do with this one. It's very psychological, and I'm looking forward to reading the next issue. Hopefully, it comes rather soon.
Like
Yeah,
I
'cause
said,
Some of
this one did
Tinian's
from
work
the-
has been Tinian's work has taken months to come out.
Yeah,
I
I
feel like-
know. Which,
But
but like I
don't
said,
I don't think he's as overworked right now as he was then. Either.
it gives me the vibes a little bit of the nice house by the lake, and I want more. I want to see more. Tinian has that ability to do that to you. He makes you want more. So
Yeah.
And again, like I said, this did for me what the other book didn't. It made me ask questions, made me want to read the second one really, really bad. So I don't know. It was a good balance this week of what a good comic can do for me and what a comic that doesn't hit me does for me.
You know, anybody has that 1 in 100. If you want to send it to me as a gift, I will more than appreciate it.
I did order one,
Oh, nice.
but I'm not sending it to you.
Wow.
Too bad.
And I've been so nice to him all year.
I know. Yep.
All
Sorry.
right. The next book, since Dave, it was his first time, I let him pick a book that he wanted to review. So next up, we have Creepshow #3, this year's series, written by Zoe Dorgood, art by Gillen March. How did you enjoy this book? Or if you didn't enjoy this book?
okay, so I guess I'll give it a start since I'm the one who threw this one out there. The first story was like gave you very like hopeless vibes, because this woman has been alive for ages. And I like the minimalist way that they did it, in her talking about what she suffered through over, I think it's like 1,000 years, a little over a couple of millennium that she went through in her life. As for the second story in this book, it's very Lovecraftian, and I'm a huge Lovecraftian guy. Like, I love the Lovecraftian stories, and that one was just messy. That story was, it was also very minimalist, but it was also very messy, and it said a whole lot, like, about sacrifice and about greed, actually, because of the they wanted the diamond and everything else, and just an interesting couple of stories.
I didn't get a chance to read this week. Who wrote all of the stories? Was it all Zoe Thorogood, or was it multiple, like it has been anthology?
It's multiple. It was multiple. Yeah.
Because I know in that first issue, that Garth Ennis one, it came out of the gate hot.
Yeah, it
Came out of the
did.
gate really hot.
You guys reviewed it, right?
Well, I think
Yeah,
Tack.
I was uncomfortable with that one.
Oh, what, the
Jedi
first
did it.
issue of Creepshow?
Yeah, the first
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
Yeah, that first issue was woo.
Yeah, it came out pretty hot.
I've also been watching like the most recent season of Creepshow on on AMC.
Yeah,
So
It's back.
yeah, there's a fourth season that dropped last month. So
Oh,
I've always been kind of like into these anthology horror shows, stuff like Creepshow, Tales from the Crypt. I've also liked American Horror Story, which was every season's a different story.
the first few seasons were so good of that show, and then I lost it.
Well, the way
it
with me,
lost me.
the way I judge that show, for one, it's gone too long, in my opinion. But I think that he's coming to, because everything's tied together. All the different like stories are tied together. But
Yeah.
I think he's coming to a point, but he should have come to a point 5 seasons ago.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So the way I see that show is like I see most anthology horror. Season 1's great. Season 2, not so much. Season 3, wonderful. Season 4, wonderful. My favorite season of that show is Freak Show. Season 4.
Yeah, Freak Show I enjoyed Freak Show. I didn't mind Coven.
Coven's great.
The first season was great.
Amazing. Hotel is amazing. Then you've got Roanoke, which sucks.
See, I wasn't a huge fan of Hotel.
1984 was really good. If you like old style like camp slasher movies, 1984.
It was interesting. I mean, I give them credit for trying.
But the last several seasons have just not been all that great. Now the American
I think like
Horror
was it
Stories-
VHS? The one where they're in the camp?
No, that's
That was
1984.
the 84.
That's
Oh, it's
84.
1984? Okay.
Yeah. Now, American Horror Stories, which goes back to the root of single episode anthology shows like Tales from the Crypt and Creepshow, has been really good with their stories. And I think that's where anthology horror is best, when it's like a single episode for each story. And it goes back to the old classic EC style. Plus, Creepshow was influenced by Stephen King, and I love Stephen King as a writer. So a lot of these stories are not so much Stephen King anymore when it comes to Creepshow, but they're influenced by like his style of writing. So some of these stories kind of stand by that. So. Yeah, and Are You Afraid of the Dark? There in the chat. Are You Afraid of the Dark was one of the best anthology horror shows ever, especially when I was younger.
I've never.
Have
seen
you
that.
watched Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities?
No, but it's on my list of things to watch, and I hear
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
I've seen the first 2 episodes. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I
First
watched the whole thing.
episode,
It was
the
it was
storage
pretty
unit.
decent.
Holy crap!
Yeah, there's a really funny episode that it's almost like a 80s synthwave type vibe to it, but it's just nuts.
Tales from the
There's some
Hood,
good ones.
equal greatest.
The first movie of Tales from the Hood, really good. The other ones got a little weird.
I don't think I was. I don't think I've made it past. I don't think I've seen anything past the first one. I didn't know they had sequels.
I didn't either.
All right. Next up, well, would you recommend this? Read to everyone.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Like, Creepshow, like the whole Creepshow vibe is great. So yeah, I would recommend it to people to read because the stories are relatively easy to get through. They're only a few pages, and you get a couple of different stories a book. So it kind of goes back to the old way comic books were done. So if you want like kind of a classic horror feel, by all means, go check out the Creepshow series. There's 3 issues out now, so it's been really good.
Nice. All right. Next up,
Thanks for the ride, lady.
play at your own risk, where we look at some sales of some retro video games. This week is Atari 2600. First game.
My era.
Red
I
Sea
had
Crossing.
had one of those.
Released in 1983 for the Atari 2600, sold for $192 just for the cartridge.
I can't believe that was a game.
I know.
Right?
Imagine if this came out now.
Oh, at
An
least
open
this
world.
game-
Who don't want to be Moses?
At least
I
this
wanna
game
be Moses.
sold. It could always be like the ET cartridge that got buried in a landfill.
Yeah, sure. I want
was
that
the worst
cartridge.
game.
It's worth a fortune.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
find
that
one,
ET. Yeah.
Oh,
which is
such a bad
difficult to do.
Next game,
Unless you know where to dig.
Flat Island.
Eli's
Wait.
ladder.
Eli's Ladder, released in 1982, sold for $1,915.
Wow.
With the
Oh,
bucks?
It
it's
was
a
an early
learning
educational
game.
disc. Yeah.
That was with the
It's
box.
a learning game.
Early cartridge for learning.
Accounting, addition, subtraction, drill and practice, set of games.
Woo.
I've never seen this game. Well, actually, maybe I should go to the mall tomorrow and like look through there. They have a whole wall full of Atari games.
Really?
I definitely
Pepsi
saw that.
Invaders, released in 1982, sold for $2,025 for the cartridge.
Why is
Was this like-
Coca-Cola shooting the Pepsis?
Oh no!
Because
Is-
Pepsi's invading.
Was
Oh,
this
it was
sponsored
like-
by Coca-Cola or was this sponsored by Pepsi? I am confused by who's trying to shit on who in this game.
It's crazy
This is
that they did a game
ridiculous.
together. It's insane.
That is crazy.
Pepsi Invaders.
Ah,
If it wasn't an Activision game, I didn't really dig it as much for it.
that's fine. Well, I'm going to a con tomorrow. I'm going to look for a freaking game tomorrow. God damn it. Next up, Out of Control, released in 1983, sold for $381 with the cartridge, complete in box for $2,505.
Damn.
Yeah, it's really fun in the box. It's in good shape and everything. That's
Actually, was sponsored by Coca-Cola. Thank you, JJ.
thank you, JJ. Because it looked like
Everyone
they were shitting on
loses.
Pepsi a bit, but it's weird that they would. I don't know the marketing genius. that
Everyone
came up with that
loses. It was sponsored by Fanta.
idea.
Atari was a copyright wasteland in the 80s.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
That is completely true.
And the last game of Play at Your Own Risk tonight, Air Raid. I love
Oh my
this game.
god.
Released in
Wow.
1982, sold for $10,000 for the cartridge, complete in box $30,000.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
That seems like a lot of money.
Doesn't it make you wish you kept
For
your
an Atari game.
Yeah.
I mean, like some of these were off-brand, weird Atari
Yeah.
games. Like I
These
said,
aren't your normal Atari.
Activision had
Oh.
most of your stuff. That were the big titles.
Yar's
Yeah.
Revenge and Pitfall and
Talking about these old cartridges that like went for lots of money. Do you guys remember the original gold cartridge for Legend of Zelda?
Yes.
Yep.
There's only 20 in existence now.
Wow.
And the last one at auction went for $1 million.
JJ said Coke used to give these out at trade shows in the early 80s.
Oh
And
wow.
Dub said, I believe Pepsi Invaders was a giveaway to Coke employees.
Oh wow.
Does that say Renovision on top?
No, it says
Minivision.
Minivision.
What? My type of game. Okay, JJ. This is what happens on a Friday. Jeez.
But this one going for 30 grand new in box. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
even
a
graded.
lot. That's not even
No.
graded. Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
I want to thank you, my research team, for doing this for me.
See, here's the thing, man. Like
that's what
you
I
talk
need. I need a
about
research team.
you talk about the amount of value.
I'll give you his
that-
number.
You talk about the amount of value that graded comics can go for. Dude, I've started looking into these graded video games. Jesus, they go for expensive
Yeah.
amounts.
And then don't get into Japanese or UE only releases. Oof, forget about it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
man.
I always worry about the
forget about it.
long-term viability.
say forget
of
about it?
These prices.
Collecting is a weird thing, man. Like like collecting anything, because it's like my dad, my dad was the one who got me into comic books. My dad was the one who got me into things like baseball cards. And you remember back in the like 90s, they had the comic book cards. Like you had the different companies putting out cards for like comic books and stuff like DC and
Yep.
Marvel.
Oh yeah.
And
I
I
think Jim
remember
Lee just did a whole signing with those things.
I remember at one time I got so into like collecting stuff.
What?
Those Zelda cartridges can go for quite a bit, even unsealed. So you might want to look into prices on those. But like what I was saying going back into collecting, and I got to where like I would like I would read price guides for things and be like, well, it says it's this worth this much. And my dad taught me a very, very important lesson when it comes to collecting. It may say new in box $30,000, but
Hmm.
honestly, when you're collecting things, you can only get what people will pay for it.
Yep.
And
Or you can go the opposite. Look
or
at
you
an
can go,
Overstreet guide, being like,
yeah,
Oh,
"This is
jeez.
worth a little bit more than this."
yeah. Well, that's funny. Like you go into like things like the old Wizard magazine and everything else, dude. Some of those are worth more. Some of those issues of Wizard magazine are worth more than comic books.
Yeah.
Okay. And when people start collecting weird shit like Overstreet price guides and everything else, it just gets really like collecting gets odd, man. Like
Uh,
I have a friend who collects horror memorabilia, but he only collects props that have been on screen.
wow.
And
Oh, nice.
like he has an on-screen chainsaw from one of the Chainsaw Massacre movies. He has a couple of Michael Myers masks that were on screen, you know, and just like I know of a guy who has the clown doll from Poltergeist,
Ooh.
Oh
like in
wow.
his house. It's in a jewel case and it's hanging on his wall in his collecting room. It is the eeriest, and it's right there as you walk into his collecting room. It's on the wall. Like as you walk into the room, it's the first thing you see. And it's like, okay, I'm not walking in that room because that clown always bothered the hell out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Um, Now we move on to some variant hunting. We co- Variant hunter this week. I
ooh,
decided to do
variants.
yeah, variants. I decided to see where the New York Comic Con variants are a month later. Some of the hot
Hmm.
ones that were at the con. So first up,
Ooh,
we
sounds
have
good.
Transformers One for
Ooh.
exclusive from New York City Comic Con. It's selling. It's the last sold for $60. This was going for over 125 a month ago. These con exclusives, they don't hold their value. Most of the time.
like most exclusives.
Yeah.
At least they're still
I don't
buzz
know.
around Transformers. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to crater like other things have cratered because they'll
No.
still
What
be
was
a
this
good thing.
sold for? Do you know?
It was $50 maybe or $25. Either 25 or $50 to buy in, and then it hit like the next second day of the con. It hit like 125 after they sold out on
Whew.
eBay Live.
Wow.
All right, next up, we have Department of Truth #1, the bootleg edition, sold for 150.
Mm.
This was
That
it's
was a weird
actually
one. That just
it's
happened.
actually holding. This was giving out during I believe Tinian's panel. You had to
No,
attend this
no, you
panel.
you had once a day. I believe he was giving out 75 copies each
Oh,
day.
okay.
But I think it was just limited to that each day.
Wow.
I don't know what the buy-in was on it,
Oh,
or if there was a buy-in on it, but it was there. I know it was limited each day he was there.
yeah, and I think this was hitting like it started out 80, 90, then it climbed up to 115. I think this is a high for this book.
Yeah, to me, if you're going to have an exclusive, this is the kind of exclusive you want.
Yep.
Man, I remember going to Comic Cons back in the 90s because I worked for a comic book store at the time. And like these ash can editions would go for spectacular amounts back in the 90s. So I completely agree with that being said.
Um,
Like if you want a
um,
convention exclusive, these ash cans are the way to go.
Yeah, and in this case, this was actually a reprint of the first edition, but
yeah,
a bootlegged
they actually
edition.
printed them at the con.
Really?
Yeah, they printed these at the con.
Oof.
Yeah,
That's why
Was
they're
it?
Yeah.
bootleg.
And that's what makes them that's what makes ash cans, especially ones printed at cons, so great because these are very rare and they lend better to collectability. So
All right, next up
Dude.
we have Duke Ashcan 2023. So for $50, this was hitting 99 to $90 to $100 a month ago. So if you waited, you can get them cheaper.
Yep.
Yep. Next up,
Wasn't there a Cobra Commander one too?
yeah, it was
Yep.
the same. It was the
See,
same.
there's still
different
Duke in the guts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then we have this Zatanna 15 foil reprint, $58. This was hitting maybe 75, 80. It's down to 58. I like the other one better, the 16.
I like the original for both.
I like that. I like that cover. It's nice.
Yep.
That's the original cover. That's not the foil, is it? That looks like the
Yeah, that's
original.
the foil. I have it in CGC somewhere.
Oh yeah, I guess I could tell from the lettering on it.
Next up. This guy. We have the Spawn 250.
Ooh.
Scotty Young silver foil virgin sold for $124. This is down. It was hitting 150, 160 during the con.
That's an interesting cover.
Yeah.
That's a Scotty Young.
Scotty
Scotty
Young does a lot of the kind of chibi look. I like it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Sorry, Bruce. I got to hop out of here real fast. I
I
got to
know.
get set up for 9:30.
I'll see you. I'll head over as soon as the show's over.
Whatever.
Later.
See you later, Joe.
See you
Later,
guys.
Joe.
Later.
Mhm.
See you later.
Bye.
Were
Peace,
these
amigo.
all foil?
No, there was some regular ones
Okay.
that sell for half this price.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't even know there was a foil for this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's one I might
Yeah,
actually look for if it comes down a little bit more.
It
Yeah.
should, hopefully.
Give it more time.
Next
Vinyl.
up, we have vinyl vibes.
Vinyl. Mm.
Some vinyl sales.
I just got a new vinyl today.
Beatles Group of 4 first pressings sold for $937.
Oof.
Man.
Wow.
You haven't
That's
seen anything yet.
impressive. That's impressive. I like it.
Next up,
That's crazy.
we have John Coltrane Group of 4 Prestige sold for $1,500.
Wow.
Wow.
Gotta love jazz.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess they've got to be, the jackets need to be in pretty mint quality for that price, I would think.
Well, these are actual pictures of the albums, actually.
Okay, so those are the actual ones that were on eBay or whatever.
Yeah, on Heritage.
Oh, and Heritage. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, these ones are from Heritage.
Man.
Next up, I think the rest are eBay. Yep.
209.
The Doors, Waiting for the Sun, sold for $209.
My dad had
I love
that
it.
album.
I love this cover.
And my dad had that album.
Cool. 600 episodes and a live channel of classic Doctor Who on Tubi.
Yep.
Thank you, Degrassi. I will be watching Doctor Who because I love Doctor Who.
There's also a Stargate channel on Pluto.
What? Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I love Stargate.
Stargate's
Yeah,
awesome.
we are such nerds.
Yeah, my
yeah.
fiance watches SG1 on that channel all the time.
Next up, we have Led Zeppelin Subtitle LP vinyl record sold for $4,125.
Jesus.
So these got to be like first printings.
Yeah. And this was limited, I believe. And that the special blue lettering was a thing.
Mm. And
4,000. That's crazy.
Yep. I drop
It seems like all collectors markets seem to just be going off the chain lately. Just prices on everything.
oh, it is. It is. It's crazy out there right now. And the thing is it's going to bottom out in a couple years again. It goes
Yeah.
through ebbs and flows.
I mean, I just can't. I mean, this is an awesome vinyl to have, but I can't imagine it holding that that price for long term.
Still, the album's great, and I
Yeah.
love that cover.
Yeah. I just hate to buy it for 4,000 and then a year later it's
Bottoms out to
2,000.
like in 2000 or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be horrible.
Yeah, you have to actually really know research, like we do comics. Do the same thing for vinyl. See the ups and downs.
Wow.
Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears, sealed, sold for $400.
Dude, that's probably going to shoot up because Ozzy is not doing well health-wise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey, there was a photo taken of him the other day with his son pushing him in a wheelchair. He can't even walk right now.
wow.
So, yeah. If Ozzy passes anytime soon, that's going to shoot way up, especially
Yep.
sealed like that.
Yeah. That's a great album.
Yep.
400.
Next segment
Poppin' with
is
Pops.
What's Popping with Pop. This is
Funko
Dom's favorite.
Pops.
Dom's favorite segment. He's not here. He's having date night. We have Dr. Frankenfurter.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Sold for $150.
Dude, this is I've got
That's
a weird
great.
anecdote behind Dr. Frankenfurter and Rocky Horror just in general. I've actually got two, and I'll just tell them really quick. For one, I do a lot of karaoke. Both I have a karaoke channel I go to on YouTube that I on Saturday nights, and then I do I go out to the bar. I used to go out to the bars a lot. But one of the most successful karaoke songs I've ever done, and the karaoke channel that I work on YouTube, the guy who runs that channel, he always wants me to sing the song "Sweet Transvestite" because I impersonate Tim Curry's Frankenfurter when I do "Sweet Transvestite." The first night I ever did that in the karaoke bars, and I'm talking about like 10, 15 years ago, people bought me my drinks for the rest of the night because I pulled that song off.
That's awesome.
That's
So,
great.
dude, that Funko Pop would be interesting to have on my desk.
Have you guys seen Tim Curry lately? He's not doing well either.
Yeah,
No,
he had
it's not.
he had a stroke quite a few years ago, and he's not
Yeah.
doing good either.
Wow.
When they
So
did
sad,
the
yeah.
when they did the like the 30th or 40th anniversary of Rocky Horror, they reissued they redid the whole movie, and Tim Curry was in it, but he was the criminologist, not Frankenfurter, obviously, and
Yeah.
he was in a wheelchair and he was not doing well at all. Yes, I got paid to sing "Sweet Transvestite" as Frankenfurter. Yes, I did. I never dressed like that. Back, I used to work for a place called the Ridgely Theater, which does cult movies, and we used to have Saturday night midnight Rocky Horror showings. And I would go. I was a bouncer at that club, and I would go and dressed as meet as Eddie, but never. I never put the corset on. No. I was never that brave.
Yeah.
Next up,
150.
we have Freddy as Batman.
Oh, wow.
Rated at
Hell's
9.
Freddy?
Freddy Funko.
Freddy Funko,
Oh, the
He's-
mascot guy? Okay.
the mascot.
So for $350. These are very popular. And there was also a digital NFT release,
Oh, wow.
limited to 2,694 pieces, which is a lot for a limited release for Funko.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Could you a geek?
350.
Okay, anyway.
That's
Next up,
Naruto.
Naruto Kurama
Ramen
mode
ramen.
glow in the dark sold for $156. Only at GameStop.
Oh, that's a GameStop exclusive? Okay.
Next up,
What year did these come out?
I have no idea. I didn't have time today. I was sick all day. I did what I could, unfortunately. Master Chief Funko Pop 01 Halo Barnes and Nobles exclusive sold for $650.
Hmm.
I like
That's
that.
nice.
I actually like that one. My next Funko will be next year's Bat Dance Prince. What?
Dude, you know what
Is
Funkos
that a
I
thing?
want? Being a horror nut, the Funkos I want is they did the 4 Cenobites from the original Hellraiser movie
Oh,
as
really?
Funkos. Dude, those are
That'd be
cool.
cool though.
They're
Wow.
rare as hell too. I want the. I want
I'm
to
about to
find
say
them.
I've never seen those in this. All right, and next up,
Ah, my mouse just there we go.
we have Thor Black and White from the Dark World, $152. It was a Gemini Connections exclusive, collectibles exclusive. It looks pretty
Hold
cool.
on. I'm looking up this Bat Dance.
Bad Dance Prince Funko.
Yeah,
The
I see
Graphic
one,
Hint.
but it looks like it's a bootleg. I don't know.
Hey, Brucifer, when you get
Yep.
done with your slides here, I wanna share one just really quick.
All right,
It's a Funko one.
Oh,
going once.
we'll go.
Oh, you want to share it now before I get into this?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Uh,
Yeah, Funkos have become
you go.
such a huge popular thing. It's insane.
those are the Hellraiser Funkos.
Oh, those look sweet.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thought you guys would find those interesting. But there's like a market for horror Funkos, and
Yeah.
these were some of the ones I want to find. But those, like I said, those are the 4 original Cenobites from Hellraiser, the first Hellraiser movie.
I love the
Nice.
first one, the top left one. That's cool.
Oh, Chatterer here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
All right, and the last segment of the night, I'm gonna look at some comics that from the news. We have the Century's first appearance in Century number 198. So
Oof.
today, I believe, for $412. These sales are within the last 24 hours for all of them.
Wow.
What? God damn it. Yeah, I love this. I love that variant.
That I actually
cool.
like that. Yeah, that looks good.
Supergirl. What the hell?
It went away.
Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow number 1 and 98. So for 125.
That is an amazing storyline. I love that storyline.
Yeah, it's a good story. It's something different for her, for the
Yeah.
character, and her actually having to take care of. She didn't want to take care of that little alien girl, but she did.
Yeah.
Was that cover A?
Yeah, that's cover A.
Yeah.
Wow.
Omega Man number 3, CGC 9.8, sold for $370 today.
The first appearance of the classic Lobo.
Yep.
Before they
Spandex.
changed him.
And Firecrotch.
Spandex Lobo.
Yeah.
Next up,
That's a cool book.
I love that cover. It's so hard to get a 9.8 in that book. I only saw 9.6 of this Sandman 25. It's the first appearance of the Dead Boy Detectives. The trailer dropped this week. The trailer was awesome.
Dude, my favorite Sandman story is Death, the High Cost of Living.
I never got into reading the Sandman,
Me neither.
High Cost of Living is really good.
but I'm really impressed with the Netflix show. Have you watched it, Red?
Nope.
You should. You should watch it. It's really good.
They just greenlit season 2.
Did they?
Right after the strike was over. So yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll watch it then. Because I didn't think season 2 was going to happen, so I wasn't even going to bother.
Yeah,
Like,
they greenlit
season 1 was a
2, like,
complete story.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
they greenlit.
I've
season
never
2,
read
like, a
Sandman,
week
so
ago.
yeah. I don't even know what it's about, so I guess I should just check it out.
Yeah, it's good.
And the last book, first appearance of Galactus,
Oof.
PGC 8.5, sold for $2,365. That's pretty low for first appearance of Galactus at 8.5.
Didn't the Galactus storyline start on issue 48 though? Like he was.
That was a cameo kind of.
on the
It
last
Silver
page or
Surfer.
something like that. Yeah,
Silver
Yeah,
Surfer
48,
first
49,
appearance.
and 50. Yeah, were the.
was the original Galactus story.
Yeah.
That's interesting that it sold for that much, considering the rumors behind who may be playing Galactus. They just announced of course, take it with a grain of salt, that they're approaching Javier Bardem to voice Galactus.
Interesting.
They're not gonna do a kaiju suit for Galactus. Come on, I think that would be cool.
What?
Somebody actually in a Galactus suit walking around.
Oh.
Like kaiju.
With a model of New York City. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be hilarious.
But thank you everyone for coming, stopping by. Had a great time. We went a little late actually. We usually go like an hour and 30 minutes. Thank you, Dave, for stopping by, hanging out with us.
Of course.
Because we started talking about Star Wars again.
Yeah, of course. Please, everyone,
Lord.
hit that like button, comment if you're watching this on the rewind, and have a good night.